My name is Asma Ajaz-Ali, and I currently work for Muslim Sports Foundation, who are last year a new system partner to Sport England, tackling inequalities in areas of deprivation. I'm heading participation in communities, so we're really looking at the opportunities that are missed within the grassroots in particularly. I'm working with national governing bodies of sports and system partners and active partnerships to address kind of bridging that gap with the inequalities faced by predominantly British Muslim communities due to lack of access or opportunity, or from the environment that they're living in, and looking at how we can work to support them to be active, because some of these areas are very dense in ethnicity, but also the inactivity levels are the highest. We've done a lot of research and data insight in terms of, in particularly British Muslims, and a key theme that keeps coming up is that sense of belonging and being a part of a system which actually primarily they don't fit into. And through my personal experiences as a coach developer, and having worked in sport for nearly over 2 decades, I have begun to realise that no matter how hard you try to stay and be resilient, there comes a point where resistance wears you down and you can't be there anymore. Growing up, obviously, I can't really talk about all of my experiences because I was the only one who looked like me back in the day. I was the only person who stood out like a sore thumb in the room, and I was the one who was told, well, this space isn't for you, or we don't need people like you here. And it was a constant battle to try and showcase my skills rather than visibly what I looked like. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie and say it was easy. It was really, really tough. A lot of the system that I was involved in was white male, and that's where a lot of the kind of comments were coming from. And the hardest thing for me was when you went to leadership to try and address this and it wasn't addressed and it was ignored, that you realised that actually it was time to go. And that's really sad, because I know of people who, through me being in the system that I was in, are only in the system because they saw me. I might not have known them. I met somebody recently from London who said, I saw you on a poster and that's why I became a coach. But it was that inspiration that they felt that actually, if she's in that space, I can be in that space. So that role modelling is really, really important, I believe. There's organisations such as UK Coaching who have that duty and responsibility to be able to frame the system so that everybody is included. Change is always really difficult, and fear of change is even bigger. And when you look like this, you're going to fear me, because sometimes it is racism, sometimes it is Islamophobia. I'm not generalizing that, but if I come to no other conclusion of why I am being excluded, or why I've been told that actually you need to tell her to go because she's bringing too many brown people into the club by the chair, that is a concern, because inclusion should be the foundation of something. It shouldn't be an afterthought. And I think that is a big issue, and I think the system within itself needs to be redressed. I think the most important thing was for me was I felt as though the system wasn't built for me. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel as though I was part of it. And that feeling is what can cause so many issues, because it's not seen, and it's internalized, and then you start to do imposter syndrome and all the general things that you do when you don't look the same as anybody else. And I mean, I've got really thick skin, and I've been able to take comments such as, You know, when I'm a coach developer, I'm never given the opportunity because, oh no, we've got this. We don't need you in it. And it's the tone, the body language, the visible, you know, eye contact to you about looking at you like this, because that's why you're not wanted in this space. The hardest thing is when it hasn't really happened too much, but when it's people who look like me but are male who also do it, that's when you think that there is a serious problem here, because you think that they should be more understanding, but actually they don't want you in that place either. And whether that's internal discrimination as well, you got a double whammy. My coaching journey has been continuous because I've not let them stop me, because I know that I'm making a massive difference to women and girls who are taking part. And I feel as though a lot of those girls who've got into county, who are doing great things, have only got there because I've been involved. Not only from kind of like going into sport or movement or physical activity, but actually girls who have had insecurities, mental health conditions, have used this space that I have given them and been able to understand the person that's sitting in front of me, to be able to give them that space in a coaching environment, to be able to address their mental health issues, is more than any words can say. So even if I've done nothing in all of my career and I've been able to help and support young girls with their mental health issues, that's enough for me. Coming to this conference and listening to what the gentleman said about being in a room in 2025 in a coaching conference and less than a handful of people from a black or brown ethnicity in the room is a serious concern, because these are the people in the system who are supposed to be making change. But how can you make the change if you don't know who the people are or how you address their issues? We need a seat at the table, just for the fact that diversity brings so much. And I think it's been researched, I think it's known that diverse teams are more effective in the workplace, and I think that is something that the sporting industry needs to look at seriously. Doing non-biased training, for example, once for coaches isn't enough, because it doesn't change the habit. I mean, you asked me to change from my Heinz baked beans, it's going to be a no. It's going to take me a while to do that change. It's not going to happen overnight. And same with people, things don't happen overnight. It has to be a continuous process of learning, of understanding, and maybe difficult conversations which have to take place. And you need to have that space in a safe environment where those things can be asked. Maybe I'm misunderstood, maybe they don't know, they fear asking me, but I'm here for you to ask the questions. Any question is not a stupid question. Ask me and I'm here to help you. I'm no different, I am a human being, and please treat me like one. You know, they talk about neurodiverse people and the way their mind works and how it can enrich the environment by having people of neurodiversity in there. And we've seen great leaders who talk about their neurodiversity, but actually diversity in terms of people as well brings so much enrichment that maybe you don't think about, because your track is this, their track might be a different lens of learning that they're bringing a different perspective to the table. And actually it might work, it might not, but you've got to take the risk to have them there, to be able to allow them to display their ideas, their concerns, their knowledge. Because if they're saying that the system isn't working for them, we have to listen.